Hi guys, welcome back to another colorful Keto with Dory. So we're getting together this evening with Robyn from Keto for Life, and we're going to talk about keto and eating disorders. We're going to talk about hers, we're going to talk about mine, and we're going to talk about maybe some of the things that you guys are dealing with. Because maybe it's not just us. I have a feeling it's not just us. I could be wrong. I've been wrong one time before. I'll only admit to ever being wrong once. I hear sound already.
Hey, sweetheart. How are you?
I'm awesome. How's your day? Happy Wednesday.
It is Wednesday. It's busy. It was good, though. I picked up all my meat from the local farm today for the month, so it's like Christmas around here.
Yes. Did you do an unboxing video? Do we get to see all the goodies?
I did take a picture of it, though.
Oh.
It's on Instagram and... Yeah, it's on Instagram.
It's on Instagram and Instagram. Awesome. So we are live on my group. On my page. So let's take a moment just to quickly get that out to our group so that they can watch it live as well. We don't want to make them wait for the replay. So the way that we do this, guys, is we go to my public page, and I'm going to show you guys what that looks for. If I could seriously end up doing what I'm doing. I was in the middle of posting something, so my phone doesn't want to let me go anywhere. So we're going to look for my public page. It looks like this. It has the coffee on the front of it. And if you guys scroll down on that, it'll show you that we're live right now. So you just click on that. See how it shows? I'll turn my volume down. We're live right now. So you just got to click on that, and you can share it to anywhere right now, and then they will automatically get the live. And they'll be able to watch it with us live instead of having to wait until the replay. So you just go to write a post, and you guys can do that anywhere, on your public page, your personal page, in any of your Facebook groups. It's exactly the same way to share it to your groups. So today we are going to talk about keto and eating disorders. So I kind of want to start by saying that for me, keto has really given me my first ever healthy relationship with food. I can honestly say I had a 40-year unhealthy relationship with food. And I'm curious if it's the same for you, Robyn. I'm going to give you a minute while you're sharing. Please share it to my group too, because for some reason my phone won't share it. So if you can share it to my group too, I'll just keep busy until you're done doing that. So I want to kind of touch a little bit on that. And I want to touch tonight on where those things come from. You know, is it something we developed in childhood? Is it something we developed as a teenager? And how can we break those cycles as an adult? Because a lot of the poor eating habits that we carried on as children and as teenagers, we don't outgrow them in our early 20s or even our 30s or sometimes our 40s like we would hope that we would. Sometimes we carry this bad messaging, this poor diet relationship around with us for a lifetime, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. So I think that's really going to be the base of what we cover today. So I'm going to start a little bit about what my own personal experience is, the kinds of issues that I had with food. I would classify myself as a binger. I was not a binge and purger because I didn't have the stomach for throwing up. I tried, but like you, Robyn, I failed at being bulimic. But I would binge. I would certainly binge. And then when binging wasn't awesome enough, I started hiding food because then it didn't count if people didn't see it. So I would eat my regular small size, oh, you barely eat enough to feed a bird portion in front of everyone. And I would sneak all the foods that I didn't want anyone to know I was eating. You know, I would get 2 family-sized chocolate bars and eat them in the car on the way home and hide the wrappers so that nobody knew that I ate it, because in my brain I started to equate, if nobody sees me do it, then it doesn't count. And that's the first habit I had to break when I started keto. Because do you know how many hours of the day nobody's looking at me?
Not many.
Well, maybe maybe not as much for some people, but there's so much time of the day that nobody's looking at me. Like, I'm going to say a good 16 hours a day where nobody's watching me, where I could eat things and be like, oh, doesn't count, nobody saw. So I had to break that one first. What was the first issue with food that you had to break?
Well, when starting keto, it was funny. I have to start before that. I gotta say, I was never actually diagnosed with an eating disorder, ever.
Me neither.
Because nobody knew. I never told anybody. In fact, I kind of joke with my group now, a bunch of people that they don't feel like strangers, but most of them I don't know personally. They know more about me than anybody else. But for me, it all started in actually grammar school. I was never fat. I was never obese. I thought I was because I was bigger than everybody. I was the tallest person in 6th grade. I mean, I tapped out at 5'6" in 6th grade. 5'6" isn't very tall.
No.
But for a 6th grader it is. So I was always bigger. And I remember the first time I was called a name, which was in 5th grade.
Oh.
30-something years later, I should be over that. I'm not.
I'm not over it.
So I'm really not. I remember who, when, where, and I remember how I felt. And honestly, it doesn't feel that much different. But, no, for me, I spent all of high school, all of everything. I mean, up until I was over 40, to be honest with you. I think I was addicted to dieting, first of all. Everything, you name it, I've done it, including things that I think were illegal. Going to, other countries to get prescriptions that my doctor
shouldn't
wouldn't
have.
Because I wasn't. I mean, maybe I had an extra 20 pounds on me at one time, but anyway, so I did every diet, but I was a binge eater as well.
Yes.
So binged, and sometimes the binging it could last anywhere from a few hours to a few weeks, and
yes.
I would binge, and then when I binge, and I'm talking. My mind was telling me to stop eating, because I hated myself so much for what I was doing. I would eat until I was sick, and then I would keep eating. And it was like uncontrollable. And then I would hate myself so much that I wouldn't eat for 12 days at a time.
Oh.
And so, and I wasn't fasting, by the way. I didn't know what fasting was. I was starving to try to make up for the binging that I did. I have tried to throw up after I ate, like you. I couldn't do it. I tried. I couldn't do it. I have abused laxatives. But I would say my biggest thing was the binge eating, because I've never been addicted to drugs. I've never done drugs. But I can only, I guess, imagine that a drug addict, where people just say, okay, if you want to stop doing it, just stop.
Just stop.
And food seems kind of like maybe it would be easier than drugs, but I gotta tell you, I couldn't stop. And when I started keto, it wasn't for that reason. I didn't make a conscious effort to not do anything. The only reason I started keto was because I was addicted to dieting, and it was a diet that I had not yet tried. And that was it. That was the only reason. And over time, I didn't even think about it. Whatever hold food had over me, it just no longer has. And I've been keto for 3 years. I have not binged. I've overeaten a few times, but I haven't binge ate since I started. I haven't wanted to, and I don't understand why, but that's the way it happens.
Well, and I say for me, food controlled me in an ugly way, like an ugly way. Between, the diet food that I didn't want to eat, and the bad food that I wasn't supposed to eat, and then the food that I began to hide, I really had layer on top of layer on top of layer of really, really bad food habits. And then to add to that, I didn't really understand food. I didn't care. I didn't read labels. Pre-keto, everything I ate came out of a box or out of a can. And I just didn't care. I won't lie. I never once flipped a can and read that label, because that isn't even anywhere near the directions.
Right. And I was kind of the opposite in that I figured if I just kept low-fat stuff in my house and fat-free, I was like the fat-free queen. Fat-free crackers, fat-free this. If I ate a whole box, maybe it wasn't that bad.
Well, because they're fat-free.
Before I understood what good food really was. And tell me if you've ever done this. If not, I was saying I'm going to be embarrassed, but somebody out there has. When you can't find anything in the house that, you basically you've eaten everything else. I've made like a box cake mix and didn't cook it.
And just ate it.
Ate the entire bowl of batter.
Yep.
And I still wasn't done, and I would look for more. I've left in the middle of the night to go get stuff if I ran out of food because I literally ate everything in the house. I mean, it was that bad.
Well, and you know what? It's not just you. And there were a lot of misnomers I had when I was dieting. Like, for example, this one's my favorite. Angel food cake is fat-free. So that makes it diet cake. And I would buy an Angel food cake. And, they're big. Let's not kid ourselves. They're a big cake. And you would walk by and you'd carve off a little slice. Oh, it's okay because it's fat-free. It's diet cake. Like, it's practically free cake. It's fat-free. And then a little more slice and a little more slice. And I'd be like, I didn't eat the whole thing. But my family maybe each ate one little slice. And let's be honest, I ate the whole thing. And I would eat it in a day. Like, I'd just eat the whole thing.
And I never understood people, and I knew a few people like this in my lifetime that, and now I'm one of them, I'm happy to say, but I never was, and I didn't do it on purpose. Keto just did this to me. That would actually stop eating when they were full.
I know, right?
I honestly didn't understand that because I knew I didn't eat because I was hungry. I was never hungry because I was either binging or starving. And when once you get past day 2 or 3 of not eating, you're not hungry anymore. So I was never really hungry. But honestly, this went on for 3 decades. And I was miserable, as I'm sure you were. Embarrassed, ashamed, told nobody, like you said, hid food. Like if nobody knew, it didn't really happen.
And horrible things, like things that I'm ashamed of to say, like I would lift up a pile of garbage so I could hide my wrappers underneath so that nobody, because heaven forbid somebody would open the garbage can and realize I'd eaten junk food. I don't even know why I thought I was hiding it from anybody. Like, who did I actually think I was hiding that from? I was 290 pounds. Did people not think I was eating junk food? Who did I think I was hiding that from? Seriously, they knew.
And I did the same thing. I don't think it's even about the weight because the most I ever weighed was maybe 160. I was never, and that's a little bit overweight for me, but I was never obese. But it didn't matter for me. It was less about the weight. I was so ashamed of what I was doing, and I associated food with being bad, I guess. It sounds weird for a 30-year-old to say, I was being bad, but that's kind of the way I associated it. And, I have hid things under the trash. I have put it in other trash cans. I have done all of that. And I know there's other people out there that are suffering, and we don't want you to because you don't have to.
Well, and I've been through the drive-thru and pretended like I had other people with me, or like I was going to share that with somebody else, because I knew I wasn't ordering a reasonable amount of food. And really, let's be honest, the lady at the drive-thru didn't give 2 hoots what I was eating but I would be like, oh yeah, my friends are waiting at my house, so yeah, that's why I'm ordering all this food, which really is the automatic sign that, fat girl, you're eating all that food in the parking lot. Don't even pretend. As soon as you're like, I'm meeting my friends. Or I would get on the phone and be like, oh yeah, so what did you want me to grab for you? Oh yeah, okay, and she'd like a milkshake and, chicken nuggets? Yeah, okay, bye.
And I have done something very similar in that, but it honestly was automatic. I would go, okay, this I don't think I ever told anybody, but on my way to work in the morning when I was in my binging stage, I would stop from up north. I'm in the south now, but up north we had a lot of Dunkin' Donuts. I would stop at Dunkin' Donuts on my way down the hill, and I would get a bagel with cream cheese and a low-fat cream cheese.
Well,
obviously.
Of course, low-fat, clearly.
No, always. And I would get like a bacon, egg, and cheese on a bagel. And, you go to the window, and it's like, I would look in the bag, just automatic, look in the bag and go, let me just make sure it's what he wanted.
Yeah.
Just automatic. They were both for me. And then I would eat those between there and the stoplight. Then I would stop at McDonald's and get an Egg McMuffin and 2 bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits. And that was during my binging thing.
Yeah.
And then once I finally got over that, whether it was an hour long or a week long or 2 weeks long, then I just wouldn't eat for a few weeks. I had clothes in my closet ranging in size 4 to size 16 because you never knew where I was going to be.
Oh, see, and my size never varied. Like, I gained 100 pounds when I was pregnant with my son because I was 22 and I thought I could eat whatever I wanted. Girl, I was so smart. I went to the hospital with pre-pregnancy panties thinking I was going to wear that home. Guess who went home in the disposable mesh panties? Because I had no idea. Like, I just thought, I was going to pop out the baby and everything would be all good. I did realize I gained 100 pounds. I'm not stupid. But somehow I just thought, breastfeeding is just going to take that right off. And I never really lost that weight. Like, I would fluctuate 30 pounds up or down, which honestly, even 30 pounds barely made a size difference. Like, it just meant my clothes fit me a little bit better and I wasn't stretching them with my elbows every morning. But it didn't, 30 pounds at 290 didn't make a big difference. Like, I would lose 20, gain 30, lose 25, and then I'd gain 10. But I never got under 260. Never, never, never.
Yeah, someone was saying that they gained, a lot of weight with their
yeah.
sperm. My daughter was born, and I was actually about what I am now. At the time when I got pregnant, I was 25. I had my daughter. She was 2 months early. She weighed 2 pounds, 7 ounces, and I gained 96 pounds. Now, I'm sorry, I gained 85 pounds, so I got to 196. I had toxemia, so the moment I had her, I lost 32 pounds, like right there.
Yeah.
But then I stayed at, in the 160s for a while, and, she was in the ICU for 5 weeks, and in the newborn nursery, I just lived at that hospital. They obviously didn't care what my weight was, but then as you got home and things started to get normal, whatever normal was, and I just picked up right where I left off and binged and tried to purge, couldn't do it, binged and starved and binged and starved, and that's what I did.
Well, and what I want people to know is that if this is you, if this is your eating cycle, there is a freedom from this. I promise that there is. Now, for me, because I want to explain to people, it's not just changing how you eat that makes you free of food. I had to let go of a lot of things and a lot of notions in my head. And the number one thing I had to let go of was an eating schedule. Because when I first started, I was like, oh, you better have breakfast, Dory. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And also, you might die if you don't eat breakfast, just saying. So I would get up.
And you have to keep your metabolism up. And the only way you can do that
is by eating 6 times a day.
As soon as you get up.
Yes. You eat 6 times a day. And as soon as you get up, you eat. So I started keto. I forced myself breakfast. And I felt ill. Like, I felt so ill. I was so sick. I didn't feel good because I was automatically feeding my body when I wasn't ready. Now, the other schedule I had to give up was everybody says, don't eat at nighttime. You can't eat past 6 p.m. If you eat before bed, and I'm an evening eater, I really am. And with my post-bariatric teeny tummy, if I don't eat right before bed, when I wake up in the morning, I've already got hunger pain, and I can't, physically I'm in so much pain, I can't crawl out of bed. By then, you're in too much pain. When you eat, it's not good, and then you're sick. So I have to eat before bed. So as soon as I said, you know what, screw it, I'm going to eat when I'm hungry, and I'm going to stop when I'm full. Because let's be honest, I always knew what the full feeling was. Like, I knew it, and I ate past it. Because I was like, oh, look at that. Now I'm full. Nah, 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 nah.
But it tastes good, and I cannot stop.
I want to still. I still want to. Like I still have face to put stuff in. So when I stopped doing that, something magical happened. And my body learned to eat for fuel. Because guess what? My body knows when it's hungry. I know when I'm sad, when I'm happy, when somebody looked at me sideways in the grocery store and now I need a chocolate bar. But as soon as I started eating only when I was hungry and stopping when I was satisfied, not overfull, not overstuffed, not puking, satisfied, then I stopped eating for emotion and I stopped actually getting that urge to, I'm sad, I need to eat. It literally stopped. Just one day I woke up and I realized, guess what? I only eat when I'm hungry and I only eat until I'm full. I wonder how long I've been doing that for. And when I reflected on it, well over a month, I was like, oh, I can't even remember the last time I ate because I was sad or because I was happy or because somebody dirty looked me.
I can't, and same here, I don't know how it happened. I didn't consciously say, okay, now that I'm doing this great keto diet, because again, it was just a diet I hadn't done. That's all. And I don't know when it happened, but I remember at one point, kind of like you're saying, like eating maybe half my dinner, whatever it was, something keto, and being like, okay, I'm done. And it's just kind of like,
mind blown.
I don't think I've ever done that before, but I was actually done. So I don't know why, but man, it works. And the freedom is like, I don't, when I have a bad day, I think people with eating disorders, they say it's not about the food. It's really not about your weight. It's about control. I always kind of roll my eyes at that, but really, to be honest with you, I'm kind of a type A control person, and now, I don't know if it's like no, I guess it's a control thing. If I'm having a bad day or somebody's not being nice to me or not, that would ever happen, but I will start to go like, okay, I need this. Sometimes it's a spoon in a jar of almond butter, or it's fat cookie dough fat bombs, or it's nuts, or it's whatever. I can actually stop myself now and go, no wait, you're not going to control what I put in my mouth.
Yeah.
No more. Nobody is going to control what I put in my mouth. I will eat when I'm hungry. I will eat when I'm ready, and nobody else is going to control that. So that's the way it is for me, and it honestly is wonderful.
Well, it's empowering because you know what? Here's the thing. When you're eating because you're upset, then you're giving those people the power over your life. So-and-so was mean to me at work, or, such and such said I look fat in those pants. You're not teaching them a lesson by binging. They don't even know you're upset. You're only hurting yourself, and you're only making yourself sick. So nobody's suffering in this situation except for you. Like, for example, when you say you remember the first time, somebody, and 40 years you've been carrying that. Now, do you think that any time over the last 40 years they've even given a second thought to the fact that, I think I might have hurt Robyn's feelings when she was 12. I wonder if she's still upset about that. I bet she's not. I bet she's not.
When, and I always told my daughter, I know it's a different time now, and my daughter's 19 now, but I always told her, I said, I never ever want you to get bullied. But God help me if I find out you're the bully.
Oh, I know.
Or God help you if you find out.
I know.
Or now that you're the bully. For things like that, because it does affect people. I forgive them. I'm not mad at them anymore. But it's still there, because honestly, that's when it started. I'm sure I had other stuff. I'm not blaming him for it.
Well, no, I'm not saying you are. You don't let stuff go, Robyn.
But, what you say to people, and even as adults, what you say to people.
It matters.
You don't know what you might be setting off. So my message is just be kind to everybody.
Well, and let's take a moment to go there, because I'm going to say, you know what? I've had strangers walk up to me when I was standing in line at the gas station to say things like, do you really think that Diet Pepsi's going to help you with that chocolate bar you're buying? And, people will say whatever. I had people come up to me and say, oh, you're expecting. No, I'm just fat, but thank you. So people will say what people are going to say, but we get to choose. Does that become our inner monologue, or is it just a blip from some jerk who didn't know any better? And that's the beauty of your mental state. It's your mind. You get to change it anytime you want. Even if you've been upset about something for 40 years, you can be like, you know what? Nah, he didn't even know what he was talking about anyways. You know what? He probably wasn't even that cool. I bet he's bald now.
30 years later, or a little bit over 30 years later, I finally like broken free from that, and it all just kind of happened. So I don't want to say keto has magical powers, but it really does.
It does.
Nothing. Weight Watchers never did this. The pills never did this. The starving never did this. Everything I ever did always made me feel worse. And when I couldn't puke after I ate, then I felt like a failure on top of it. You know, an even bigger one. Everything else I've ever done made me feel worse. Except this just works.
Well, and you know what? When I hear you tell your story, I'm like, well, I was never that dedicated. I binged. I never starved myself to make up for it. I just rolled over the next day and went, okay, so I may or may not have pepperoni stuck to my face. I may or may not have crawled out of a pile of Cheetos. Let's get this day on the go, eh? Like, I never felt the need, and I guess maybe that makes me feel like, oh, I failed at something too, because I would binge like a crazy lady, and I never felt like I had to make up for it in any way, shape, or form. I just would be like, oh, nobody saw me, right? Like, totally didn't happen.
And well, I think about the damage that I probably did. I mean, as bad as binging is and overeating, the back and forth had to have been horrible.
Yeah, there's no way that was good for your body. And I will say, partially due to issues that I had with my stomach, because I had a lot of really bad irritable bowel syndrome symptoms, but also due to the fact that a good portion of what I was putting in my body was junk. Nothing ever seemed to stay in my body for more than 20 minutes. I don't know how I didn't die. Like, there's no way you can absorb any nutrient from food in 20 minutes before it passes through your body. And it just never did. Like, my food was never there long enough to process. There was never any nutrient-dense food in what I was eating. Because let's be honest, I would do things like cook up a pack of hamburger and then throw some cream and mushroom soup on it, throw some garlic in there, and put that up over instant mashed potatoes and, a side of canned corn or canned peas or whatever, and that was supper, or it was hamburger helper with some vegetables thrown in it, or, those were the kinds of things that we used to eat. Every day had a pasta, a potato, or a rice. There was never a meal that didn't have a pasta, a potato, or a rice. And my serving was usually a small amount of meat, like that much rice or pasta, and then, that much vegetable. And now for me, my portions are different. I eat that much meat, no pasta or rice, and then more vegetable with fat. And I'm happy with that. I'm satisfied eating that. Before, because I was loading up on carbs, an hour later you're hungry. And you're not going to go for a healthy dinner, let's be honest. You've already eaten dinner now. You're going to have chips, you're going to have cereal, you're going to have ice cream, you're going to have chocolate bars, you're going to have junk food. Because the evening's made for junk food. And every evening we would sit down to a bag of popcorn, a family-sized bag of chips, everybody gets a chocolate bar, and, maybe a chocolate milk or something like that. And we sit down for movie time.
Yeah, and mine was not the chocolate. I never, actually I didn't like chocolate, oddly enough, but I never had the sweet tooth. But when I say this, I'm not exaggerating. I would eat an entire package of Thomas's, or at the time Lender's, maybe bagels with cream cheese, an entire package. This was after I had been good and praised myself for being good all day. I was a nighttime eater too. I could be perfect all day. Then I'd be done with everything for the day, get my pajamas, and be like, okay.
It's time.
The urge, I couldn't. I'd say, Robyn, don't. It didn't matter. I'd be in those cabinets. I would eat an entire package of bagels with cream cheese. I would wash that down with the biggest bag of Doritos I could find, the red ones. I don't like Cool Ranch.
I don't like Cool Ranch.
Nacho cheese.
Nacho cheese.
I always had these healthy peanut butter and cracker, the 6 packs.
Super healthy.
Because again, they were healthy.
Yeah.
If I had gotten a big, family-sized thing of them, guess what? Oh, every single one of them.
Family size, that's binge size. They should actually write on the side binge size, because ain't nobody ever bring that home for their family.
It would have been accurate.
Right?
But no, that's what I did. And then while I was doing it, the guilt and the shame was so bad. And then when I was finally out of food, I mean, I would just sit there and cry. And, you know, I'd either do it all over again tomorrow, or that would be the end of that cycle, and I would starve for a couple of weeks. But that was it. That was my life for 30 years.
I think probably the least appropriate reaction I ever had to anything was the day that my doctor told me I was morbidly obese, and I really needed to do something about my health if I wanted to live to see the end of my 20s. At the time, I was 23, and I had, you know, my son was only a year old, and I went home and I binged for 3 days straight because I felt so horrible that my doctor told me I was no longer just obese, because that was offensive enough. But then he had to tell me I was morbidly obese, and I was like, what's morbidly obese? That doesn't sound very awesome. And that's when you're in excess of 100 pounds overweight. And now I know I was, because I've lost 145 pounds total. So he wasn't lying when he said I was morbidly obese. I was carrying another full-size person on my back every day.
And then the guilt and the shame and all that stuff on top of it, that's even heavier than and what does that cause you to do? It causes you to eat more. And y'all, you gotta break this cycle. It can be done.
And that's it. Like, it sounds silly, but it's as simple as make the decision, decide you're going to make a healthy choice for yourself, like Robyn and I did, and go for it. You're not going to be perfect. You know, you're not going to keto perfect right away. You're not going to do it perfect right away. You might slide back into old habits. But you know what? Starting now is better than waiting another 20 years from now, when, you know, you're going through liver failure and your stomach has all kinds of ulcers and issues and kidney problems and you name it, your body is shutting down. You're better off to try now. And you know what? If you've tried everything else, like Robyn did, like I did, does it hurt you to try just one more thing? Just one more thing.
And I don't know what it is about keto. When I started, I think one of the biggest mistakes that I made in the beginning, because I tell you, I didn't lose weight for like 6 months.
Me
I don't want to
too.
scare anybody off, but because I did it wrong. I would lose 2 pounds and gain 1, and then lose 1 and gain 3. But at the end of 6 months, I kind of weighed the same. Oddly enough, I didn't gain any weight. But what I was doing was, all of my favorite stuff, bagels, breads, I was immediately making the keto version of that. I didn't learn how to eat real food, keep it simple for a while. So any other diet that I'd already been on, or that I've ever been on, if I hadn't lost weight in 6 months, I would quit.
Oh, I would have quit.
I don't know why I didn't. I don't know. It was a higher power, like, no, you're not quitting. And it's the best thing I've ever done. And this is what I want to say to anybody watching. Whatever you're feeling, you're not alone, I promise. Reach out to Dory, reach out to me. You know, in my group, I routinely ask people for different things. Say, hey, what has keto done for you? And, oh my God, some of the things that I read.
Oh, it's mind-blowing.
You are not alone. No matter how alone you feel, you are not alone. Reach out.
And you know what? I want to say, just because you were never officially diagnosed with something doesn't mean it's not you. So I'm just going to before we close up, I'm going to run down the things that I was never diagnosed with, that since keto I know now that I had. Irritable bowel syndrome. I didn't know it was a thing. You're not supposed to cry when you poop? What? I didn't know that. Seriously, I know it sounds stupid, but I didn't know. It was my whole life, I didn't know. Now that I read the symptoms of PCOS, I certainly had that. Every single symptom, every single way. Depression, anxiety, painful joints, all of these things are all things that keto has helped me with in the last year and a half. All of these things are things I never even imagined would improve. I was like, I need to lose 20 pounds. I never thought my mental health would improve. I never thought that I would get a reduction in my irritable bowel syndrome, that I would, have a solution to any of these problems. I just wanted to lose 20 pounds. That was it.
I wanted to lose 23, and I ended up losing 28, got down to my, I guess, ideal body weight, and then stopped. But at the time I started, I still do, I have 4 autoimmune diseases, maybe 5 or 6, but 4 confirmed. I was on 24 different medications every day.
Oh, dear God.
And then when I flare up, I would have to go get a prednisone shot in the butt, and then be on prednisone, a whole regimen. And of course, everyone knows what prednisone does, blows you up even more. That, I've got a lot of, had a lot of issues, internal issues, including migraines. And
that one too.
Again, I started this to lose like 24 pounds. I had a goal weight in mind. Well, keto had a different weight in mind. It was a little bit lower, actually. Got me down to my ideal body weight. And, in those 6 months that I said I didn't lose any weight, it took me a while to realize I haven't had a migraine in a while. And I used to get them like clockwork.
Me too.
Today, I am on 0 medications. Have not had an autoimmune flare-up in over 3 years. I'm not saying it's keto. Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
The only thing I ever did different was
I love you.
I ate. That's the only thing I did different. So I did, just like you, I didn't start it for this reason, but what it has brought me, the medical stuff, the weight loss, but I think more importantly, food doesn't control me anymore. And that is huge.
And you know what? No matter what your goal is in your head, keto knows where you're supposed to be. Because the same thing for me. I wanted to lose 20 pounds, and I've lost 35 so far. And really, I don't care if my scale never moves. My body is recompositioning. Every single day, my body shape changes, and it shifts, and I'm starting to see, bones in places where I didn't have bones, and curves in places I only had rolls. And I'm okay with that. I no longer focus on the scale at all. Whatever my weight ends up being is what my weight ends up being, period. And I focus on healthy now. I want to feel good. I want to be healthy. And I don't really care about my gravitational pull on the earth.
Because you realize what used to be the most important thing.
It doesn't even matter. Like, I obsess so hard over the number on the scale, but here's the thing. 3 women, a dozen women, 1,000 women could all be the same height and the same weight. They could be 5, 6, and 160 pounds, and every single one of them look different. They're all a different size. So why are we obsessing over a number instead of saying, you know what, healthy's the new sexy. I just want to be healthy. I don't care if I'm a size 5 or a 15. I want to be strong. I want to be healthy. I want to be vibrant. I want to watch my grandchildren have children.
Let's see. Kim says, walk us through one day of regular eating. I always tell people, I don't mind if you ask it. I certainly don't mind telling you what I eat. What I don't want people to do is say, okay, I need to copy that, because I've been doing it over 3 years. I'm very routine. For me, a typical day, now I'm doing an egg fast right now, so my day is pretty much eggs and fat for the next several days. But typically for me, I fast 16 to 18 hours, black coffee, water. Have early afternoon, I have bulletproof coffee with butter or ghee, MCT oil, and usually some clotted cream. And then I might have another one in the afternoon just because I like it. And then dinner is meat. I don't eat vegetables, so it's meat and fat, or like tonight I made a buffalo chicken jalapeno popper casserole. I didn't eat it because I'm egg fasting, but something different for dinner every night. I'm just very, very routine. I like doing the same thing every day. But keto is so flexible that, yesterday or last week, my daughter wanted to go out to lunch. So we went out to lunch and I had lunch. So it depends what happens. My life doesn't need to fit into keto. Keto can fit into my life.
Yes. And I'll run mine quick because we're 15 minutes over and I need a break before my next live. So, for me, I don't eat a lot. So please don't ever base what you eat on what I eat. Please, dear God, I'm post-bariatric. I eat what you feed a toddler. Let's be honest. I do bulletproof coffee in the morning. I usually have my first meal between 1 and 3 p.m. in the afternoon, my time, which honestly is usually something like a little bit of chia pudding, a third of a cup of chia pudding, or I'll have 2 or 3 tablespoons of sour cream with sweetener and nuts on it, or I'll have like a couple pieces of bacon and 1 egg, something like that. In the evening, we usually have our dinner quite late at my house. We eat between 7 and 8 p.m. And for me, a meal would be, say, for example, a small pork chop and 4 Brussels sprouts cooked in fat, add bacon, and that would be my dinner. And then I usually have my small bedtime snack, which is similar portion and makeup of my morning food. So it's usually either yogurt or chia pudding or something. I eat a lot of nuts and seeds, which works out well for me. So something with nuts, seeds, or coconut, that's usually what rounds out my day. But I will honestly say, if you take what you eat at lunch, spread it out throughout the whole day, that's me.
And you see how different Dory and I operate. It works for both of us as long as we're low carb, high fat, moderate protein, and we don't eat sugar, grain, starch, or processed foods. Your keto, how you choose to get your food in what, that's up to you.
Yes. And that's the main message. You know what? Do it your way. Just remember, it's always high fat, moderate protein, low carb. You can't do a low fat version of keto. I tried for 5.5 months. You can't do it. So go ahead, hon.
I said don't fear the fat.
It's not the fat. I promise, it's not the fat. And I actually saw a video the other day where somebody was saying, oh, you don't need to add extra fat to your meat. If you're eating fatty meat, you don't need to. And I was like, I'm turning off that video because you have to add. You're never going to get more fat from your meat just by eating fatty meat. It's never going to happen.
My favorite is the high protein keto diet.
Oh, yeah.
So what?
Yeah. Right? Well, maybe we'll touch on that next week. But I'm going to let you go so I can have a quick 15-minute break. And we'll see you guys back in 15 with Josh from Peterson's. We're talking bacon, baby.
All right. Love bacon.
Have a great night. Thanks so much, Robyn.